In this video, we're going to talk about Chiron, what Chiron is, what Chiron means, and Chiron being retrograde in the zodiac sign of Aries. Chiron is going to be in Aries for quite a while, but it's not going to be retrograde the entire time. But why Chiron is retrograde? What is it that we need to learn? What is it we need to heal from? How can we be better healers? And what is it that will unlock the key to our healing abilities and who we've been called to be on a soul level in our destiny? Chiron is going to stay in the zodiac sign of Aries until 2027. So this is a very long transit, but it's going to stay retrograde until December 12th. So I got to do a little stretching for this one. So let's talk about Chiron. First of all, Chiron is not a planet. It's an asteroid. But it's still very significant. It isn't any less significant because it's an asteroid and not a planet. It still has a great impact on how we move and how we navigate. So I'm going to read you some notes from what I put in my birth charts, my written notes. In shamanic astrology, Chiron represents the sacred womb, the key to self-healing, and our self-alchemist healing practices. Chiron is the asteroid of the wounded healer. It's healer energy. It's your healing abilities. Your energy as an empath and your ability to teach and learn remedies that heal other people. Chiron focuses on the wounds that we experience in childhood and within the family structure. The most interesting fact about Chiron is he was able to heal others, but he could not cure himself when he was struck down by a poisonous arrow by Hercules. Also, Chiron is an evolved version of yourself when you successfully integrated your shadow and your light energy, creating a divine polarity, which is why, although asteroids tend to be feminine, the pronoun can also be used as masculine energy. So, Aries is the first sign on the zodiac wheel. Aries is the sign of the ram, and there are three archetypes for Aries. There is the baby, which is when Aries is like getting their feet wet and they're like diving into everything and everybody and everyone. There is the second archetype, which is the ram, when they act in the animal ram energy and they just ram into everything and they kind of don't like have any chill. They're just like, the baby's kind of like, oh, I'm exploring and what's this, what's that, but the ram is just like an overdrive and it's just like boom, boom, bam, bam, thank you, ma'am. Whereas the last archetype, which is the warrior, they have become more strategic about where they spend their time, how they spend their energy, and what is important to them. So what happens when Chiron and Aries team up? So essentially there is a lot of childhood wounds that will come up when Aries is retrograde and Chiron. What was your upbringing like? Where did you learn about self-esteem, self-value, and self-worth? Aries, as we know, is a very proud fire sign, full of energy, very headstrong. But where did they learn these characteristics? Or were you in an environment where you were put down or you weren't encouraged to be strong and to take the lead and to take charge? These are the type of themes that will come up. If you experienced any type of trauma, from sexual molestation to rape to verbal, emotional abuse during your childhood, they will come to the surface for healing and transmutation while Chiron is in Aries. You may normally be able to like skate past these issues. They may not impact you normally, but this will be a time where they will kind of haunt you, so to speak, like, hey, I'm here, please deal with me. Also, if you have not taken the energy to intentionally heal your inner child, you may find yourself as an adult in certain situations, but you're reacting as if you're your younger self and you're not like showing up as a mature, evolved adult. And that's okay. You just have to be very intentional about your healing. So when Chiron is in Aries, we experience a lot of flight or fight responses. So certain things that would happen normally, we would just have a solution to move forward, but they feel a little deeper. We feel them when we experience them on a soul level, and we'll be like, okay, if I don't address this, it can impact my entire well-being. It can be a detriment to my livelihood. And it may not even be that serious on the surface, but underneath it may feel that serious. And that's because these are things that we would normally be too busy and on a grind, and I don't got time for that. But it's like, no, your soul is like, make time for it so that you can be who you want to be and you can do the things you need to do and have all that God has for you to have. You will see when Chiron is in Aries where you fail to put yourself first when it's retrograde. What situations have you given away your power? How do you reclaim that power back? And where did you learn that? So, did you have a mom who put everybody above the needs of herself? Did you have a father that worked himself to the bone and, didn't he wasn't shown like appreciation for it? So where do we learn these behaviors, and how do we then start practicing, self importance and self worth and self preservation and putting ourselves first, and why that's not a bad thing? Like, you can't pour from an empty cup. You have to be able to give to yourself before you can give to others. Like, if you are just running around on empty, but you steady trying to heal people and give it to other people, and this is whether it's friends, family, at work, relationships, community organizations, are indifferent, you're just like an empty vessel. You're like a shell of yourself. Like, your cup can't run it over if you're dehydrated and your cup is on empty and you're running on fumes. So that's something that will come up during Chiron in retrograde, especially when it's in the sign of Aries. I will say this is also a time to put yourself first in a sense of honing in on your intuition, trusting your intuition and your wisdom and your knowledge. Like, a lot of the times there are things that we know, but it's like, I just need to go get a reading. I just need a healer. I need confirmation that he ain't shit. I need confirmation I need to leave this job. I need confirmation that this friend isn't for me, when really it's kind of like you already know. And you can stand to trust yourself a little bit more, but you're just like choosing to take a childlike approach. You're choosing for someone to have to tell you, like, oh, you need to diet and exercise, when really you already know these things. So start trusting yourself more, that you are who you need to be, and you will be that person. Like, you have to be that person in spirit first before you manifest to that person in the physical. So not being afraid to say, no, this doesn't work for me, or yes, this does work for me, or indifferent. Those are the themes for Chiron retrograde in Aries. Aries is the warrior archetype of energy. So when we're talking about healers and warriors, you will see what causes Earth worth you fighting over, giving your energy to, and pioneering and championing for. You'll be more selective about your energy, who you spend your time with, and why. You will find yourself like taking back your power once you recognize where you've allowed yourself to be powerless. You will be reminded that you are a survivor. You are a victor. You're not a victor. Victim. God, Mercury retrograde is tying up my tongue. And that you can go on to victory. If you're willing to address all these things that have happened to you, and the very things that were meant to break you are the catalyst in which you will live your success. So I'm very excited to see all the healing and to book healing sessions and to work with you all and just remind you of your strength, remind you of your power, let you know that you are indeed who you were meant to be and called to be by God, and remind you to be your best and your whole self.